Kson said that she feels ashamed for all the positive stuff she said about the company. I turned out to be a lie. Go ahead, laugh at me. Why am I so stupid? Why do I not learn? Why do I always try to see the good side of people? And especially this part, just to learn that they don't fucking care. I feel this. I feel this so fucking hard. But even with the amount of, like, righteous... I don't want to say indignation, but just, like, annoyance and paranoia that I carry, I don't want to just see everyone as a bad person. And I try to give some people benefit of the doubt. And I think that's a good thing to hold on to in our industry, because being in any kind of show business, you can become very jaded very fast once you start learning how shit works. And so to hold on to that feeling of, like, wanting to see the good side of people, not to the point that you continuously get taken advantage of, right? Like, have some fucking self-preservation instincts. Don't just get taken advantage of. But being able to see that, like, not everyone is that kind of person, and being able to see the good in people still is something I want people to be able to retain. And it makes me sad when people beat themselves up for feeling that way. Because it's like, it's not your fault you got taken advantage of. It's not your fault you got lied to. It's not your fault that something you cared about and believed in ended up being a bit more rotten than you thought it was. It was still something that you believed in. It was still something that you found friends and you had people that you cared about. And you can hold on to that as a positive that came out of something bad. It gets harder and harder every day. You'll admit it sucks. Never become a moderator for me. It's been like a running joke that, like, as soon as you become a moderator for me, you get real fucking black pilled real quick. Little lore drop. This might be an unexpected thing for me to announce, but I'm getting married. Alongside streaming, having a family of my own has always been a dream of mine. Don't usually talk about my personal life, but it's something that's important to me and it'll come up sooner or later. So I wanted to go ahead and tell you. As long as there are people cheering for me, I'll keep streaming and trying my best to make you laugh. Thank you for supporting me always, and I hope to keep VTubing through every stage of my life. Even when I'm a grandma. So if you're along for the ride with me, I appreciate you so much. And that's super fucking cute! There should only be, like, happiness at this kind of an announcement, right? I'm sure there's some unicorns killing themselves somewhere. But, like, she should be happy, right? Like, fucking getting... Nimi said Twitter's scrolling so fast, no one will notice I'm getting married. True. Actual MILF VTuber soon. Like, that's super cute. You should want to see people happy and succeed like this, you know? You should want to see this. Unicorns weren't long for this world anyways, to be fair. I don't know. I think this is very cute. And this is, like, a sentiment that I feel as well. Right? Like, I mean, I've expressed that, like, you know, once I get back into New England and I do start dating, I probably wouldn't want to just immediately be like, hey, I started dating someone. Before you introduce your children to their stepfather, you want to make sure he'll stick around more than a few weeks. You don't have to explain to the children why he's leaving, you know? Like, you want to make sure he's kind of locked in. So it's like, I would want to announce that I have, like, probably a boyfriend or a fiance. Probably announce before I'm getting married, but, like, I don't know. Got told something today and had to go check myself because it didn't seem accurate. I was impressed that he was correct. More people die in Europe annually from heat than in the US to firearms. And thankfully someone in the comments did some research here. This guy, Sackhead Sean, whoever the fuck this guy, I don't know who this guy is, but he did the work, man. I did some research because I wasn't going to sleep tonight if I didn't. This triggered the tism. I wanted to know the ratio adjusted for population variances of heat deaths to gun deaths between Europe and the US. You're 3.6 times more likely to die from heat in Europe than from a firearm homicide in the United States. When are we going to do something about the semi-fully automatic heat deaths in Europe? The WHO European region reports that 175,000 heat-related deaths per year. In the United States, per the CDC, 17,927 firearm homicides per year. And adjusted for population, according to the WHO statistics, Europe has 19.4 deaths per 100,000 people. And they have a population of 900 million, so that's for heat death. The United States has 5.4 deaths per 100,000 people, with a population of about 335 million. Then he does some math here that would cause my brain to seize up and me to start stroking out. His conclusion, you are approximately 3.6 times more likely to die from heat in Europe than from homicide by firearm in the US, even when adjusting for population. But they won't install air conditioning! And he made this cute little graph. Heat versus guns, the real risk. You're 3.6 times more likely to die from heat in Europe than by gun homicide in the United States. That's actually fucking insane. That's actually fucking hilarious. Not that people are dying, but that Europores like to dunk on us for having guns all the time, when the literal sun is taking more of them out than our gun violence statistics. When are we going to just put out the sun, chat? They don't need AC, they just need windows, but won't make them. I think someone in the comments said, yeah, wait until you find out they're not allowed to open their windows more than a crack because you're even more likely to die from falling out an open window than you are to die from heat because they have not figured out how to not fall out of windows. I figured out how to not fall out of windows as a toddler! Europe, what are you doing? To put this in greater perspective, in the US we have 0.4 heat deaths per 100,000 people. The states with the highest are Arizona and Nevada, around 5, 1/4 of the EU. Comparing average daytime high, in July, the Phoenix area is around 107 degrees Fahrenheit. The hottest town in Greece has one of 35 degrees Celsius, which is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So we even have higher temperatures, but the Europeans keep dying in greater numbers to the heat. I don't understand. How is this even possible? Oh no. Asmongold is back, but not with good news.
Like from the gallbladder to the liver or something like that. I'm not a fucking doctor, okay? I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. But basically, I guess I'll just come out and say it, right? I'm just going to say it straight up, flat out. They think they can, with chemo and like a degree of surgery, remove it. But my dad's got pancreatic fucking cancer. That's it. That's what fucking happened. And we found out about that maybe, no, it was yesterday. So, yep, that's right. Oh, fuck, that's right. And so he goes and, like, so they do the surgery and they don't even know, like, what it was or anything like that. Sad. Yeah, he's 78, right? And we're going to try to fight through it. We're maintaining optimism.
That's really sad. I didn't know his dad was in his 70s either. God damn. That sucks. Hope the old boy hangs in for a good while. Yeah, I sent him a DM as well because it's like, fuck, man, I feel bad. I had to go through a bit of a cancer scare when my dad had like polyps on his lung and then he had to go in for heart surgery. And like, thankfully, he didn't have cancer, but he still had to have, you know, scary heart surgery. And now he has to kind of be careful how much like physical exertion he does forever. So like that was a scary time. And I mean, it's going to be a monitor on his health for probably the rest of his life, because he was a smoker for quite a long time, which can cause a lot of issues. But hopefully Asmon's dad will be able to get the chemo and be able to be fine.
There's a degree of, you know, like there's a plan of action. We're gonna move forward. I mean, he survived 6 fucking pneumonias.
That's a lot of pneumonias.
Other fucking things, and at the end of the day, we're gonna do our best, right?
Yeah.
But that's where we're at.
That sounds like a fucking fighter, man. I took the day off. Sounds like a fucking fighter. Hopefully he can pull through. Hopefully he can pull through. I saw these 2 tweets, and I don't know if it's the same video repeated twice, so I guess we'll find out. But someone said, holy shit, it's happening. I'm not gonna say it's happening yet. Trump is not joking. He is going full scorched earth on Barack Hussein Obama and his cabal. After what they did to me, whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Trump says he caught Obama, Hillary, and all of them And it's time. For those of you intensely confused at what the fuck he's talking about, I tweeted something out, I think like last week. So Tulsi Gabbard tweeted out something that said, Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. Here's how. And then this image says, creation of the Russia hoax, real intel assessment, Russia and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting cyber attacks on infrastructure. Trump wins the 2016 election. December 9th, secret Russia meeting. Obama officials meet to plan Russia hoax. December 8th, the POTUS briefing is pulled. IC pulls product that contradicts Russia hoax narrative. December 9th, the Obama order. IC begins outlining new assessment to claim election was hacked. The deep state leaks. Obama officials use their media propaganda arm to spread fake news. And they have like the Washington Post, secret CIA assessment says Russia was trying to help Trump win the White House. New York Times, Russian hackers acted to aid Trump in election. NBC, US officials, Putin personally involved in US election hack. Fake weaponized assessment, suppressed prior intelligence showing Russia lacked intent and capability to hack the 2016 election to the Russia hoax. And then she continued, for months preceding the 2016 election, the intelligence community shared a consensus view Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack the U.S. elections. But weeks after President Trump's historic 2016 victory, defeating Hillary Clinton, everything changed. On December 8th, 2016, IC officials prepared an assessment for the president's daily brief, finding that Russia did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting cyber attacks on infrastructure. Before it could reach the president, it was abruptly pulled based on new guidance. This key intelligence assessment was never published. The next day, top national security officials, including FBI Director James Comey, CEI Director John Brennan, and DNI James Clapper, gathered at the Obama White House to discuss Russia. Obama directed the IC to create a new intelligence assessment that detailed a Russian election meddling, even though it would contradict multiple intelligence assessments released over the previous several months. Obama officials immediately leaned on their allies in the media to advance their falsehoods. Anonymous IC sources leaked classified information to the Washington Post and others that Russia had intervened to hack the election in Trump's favor. On January 6, 2017, just days before President Trump took office, DNI Clapper unveiled the Obama-directed politicized assessment, a gross weaponization of intelligence that laid the groundwork for a years-long coup intended to subvert President Trump's entire presidency. According to whistleblower emails shared with us today, we know Clapper and Brennan used the baseless and discredited Steele dossier as a source to push this false narrative in the intelligence assessment. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people already knew that there was a subversion going on for his first presidency. I just don't think most people assumed, like, Obama had anything to do with it. And then the Steele dossier, that was literally created on poll. Like, I remember when people were crafting it, dude. It's crazy that that was ever taken seriously. These documents detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest level of the Obama White House to subvert the will of the American people and try to usurp the president from fulfilling his mandate. This betrayal concerns every American. The integrity of our democratic republic demands that every person involved be investigated and brought to justice to prevent this from ever happening again. I am providing all documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the American people deserve. So, I saw this and I was just like, what the fuck is even happening anymore? I don't understand, man. And then, today, there's, I guess, an interview, and here's a clip from the interview.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up all the way going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly, So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking.
So that's kind of wild to hear. I don't even know what to believe anymore, really. Right? Like if they come out with all of this shit that like supposedly Obama did, and then suddenly they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, he actually was born in Kenya. That was true the whole time. I'd be like, all right, it's time for me to start getting my news from like some crackhead voodoo man down the street, because clearly that's going to be more accurate than anything I can find from an actual publication. Like, I'd lose my mind. I'd lose my mind if that actually turned out to be true. I like how this fucking pansy ass here, any of you cheering this stuff on have completely lost the plot, regardless of your thoughts on politicians. Once you politicize your justice system, it's game over. Yeah, the Democrats already did that, fuck boy. They already opened the door for that happening. Fuck off, brother. You can't politicize our fucking system and then not expect it to happen to you. You can't just be like, oh, it was fine when we did it, but when you do it, that's a threat to our democracy. Nope, shut up, fuck up. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I really don't care, Margaret. All right? Hey, bud, do me a favor and shut the fuck up. Trump didn't politicize the justice system. They started it. We will finish it. And then, this is another tweet. I don't know if it's the same clip or not, so we'll see.
Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here, this was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they... Look, he's guilty. It's not a question. You know, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it.
I mean, like, again, if true, I would expect nothing to happen because it never happens. But it would be nice if something actually happened. It would be nice if people who had actually committed treason were made to pay for committing treason, you know? We needed to start seeing hard evidence. Yeah, I don't know what they plan on dropping, but this is a pretty fucking bombshell claim to just say without, like, showcasing what you have. Like, maybe they're gonna try these people for treason, and that's why we don't have the evidence available. But, like, goddamn, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Laws really only apply to those of us who don't have stacks of cash or political clout. I mean, we used to be able to do things with corrupt politicians, and I feel like we should still be able to. A man wearing a metal chain was sucked into an MRI machine, Long Island police say. That's kind of interesting that it was on Long Island. A man was critically injured after getting sucked into an MRI machine during an incident on New York's Long Island, according to police. Nassau County Police said the 61-year-old man wearing the metallic necklace was pulled off his feet by the magnetic machine when he suddenly entered the exam room. He died less than 24 hours later, police said. A witness at the Nassau Open MRI and Old County Road in Westbury told police the man defied orders to stay out of the MRI room after he heard the patient, his relative, screaming and got concerned. This is also a very interesting sentence. This is my first time reading this article, but I watched a clip of this before, and this contradicts what I heard in the clips. That's interesting. The man, they've now said twice, the man suddenly entered the exam room, and then the man defied orders to stay out of the MRI room. Doctors and staff at the prestigious North Shore University Hospital explained the dangers of magnetic resonance imaging if protocols are not followed to a T. The dangers could be catastrophic, and it underscores why we have all the safety precautions in place. MRI machines can be especially dangerous around people with oxygen tanks, in wheelchairs, or even wearing magnetic jewelry. Patients must remove all metal and electrical objects before getting scanned. I was so worried when I went to go get my MRI. I actually asked the MRI tech, like the person over the phone, I was like, I have magnetic nail polish on. Do I need to take this off before I come in? Because if the nail polish is magnetic in the MRI machine, would it just like rip off my fingernails? Like, I was really fucking terrified, man. And they were like, no, you should be fine with that. You'll be okay. It would act like a torpedo trying to get to the middle of the center of the magnet, Charles Winterfeld, the hospital's director of imaging services, said. Still, experts say injuries and deaths tied to MRI machines are rare when magnets pull an object from inside a room. The Nassau County Police Homicide Squad is investigating the incident at Nassau Open MRI. They did not disclose the injured man's name. If this was a chain that was wrapped around his neck, I could imagine any kind of strangulation injuries that could happen. Asphyxiation, cervical spine injuries, Sud said. Nassau Open MRI, which has multiple locations in the New York area, declined to comment at this time. So this article mentions multiple times how the man was told not to go in there, and he suddenly came in there. Colin Rugg had posted like a little thing here. A 61-year-old man has passed away after he was sucked into an MRI machine on Long Island. The man was reportedly wearing a large metal chain and was pulled into the machine. According to ABC, the man was not a patient, but walked into the MRI room while a scan was in progress. The police say the man was at the hospital with someone else. He was sucked into the machine due to his large metal chain and later passed away. If this was a chain that was wrapped around his neck, we just read that quote from Mr. Sud, authorities are currently investigating. And this just kind of shows you... Hold on. This just kind of shows you, like, how strong the magnet is in MRIs. And these are not, like, large or heavy objects, right? Like, even those folding chairs, those are pretty light. Must have scared the person in the machine. I mean, I would have been fucking freaked out, man. Mega Killer, thank you for the sex. Putting y'all back in chains, quoted by Joe Biden, Jesus Christ. Louisiana does have a drive-through daiquiri shop, however they put plastic wrap over the lid, and if you're pulled over by the popo and they see you put your straw through the plastic wrap, you'll catch an open container charge. Oh, that seems like bait. That seems like bait, man. There's a reason these things are normally placed in a specially prepared basement. Yeah, it was like nerve-wracking just to be around the MRI machine. Like, I was terrified. I was terrified, and I didn't even have like metal on me, you know? And then this is a video. Man sucked into MRI machine on Long Island was wearing 20-pound workout chain with padlock. Wife says he waved goodbye. And so after reading that article, I don't remember everything said here, but I'm gonna press X to doubt on a bunch of things that have been said here.
Adrienne Jones McAllister says her husband, Keith McAllister, died after he was sucked into an MRI machine at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury.
I haven't been able to sleep. I'm barely eating. I just can't believe.
I am struggling.
I still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing.
I mean, like, I can only imagine how terrifying it is for her to have seen this entire thing. Like, that is some traumatic shit that will fuck you up for life.
He waved goodbye to me, and then his whole body went limp.
Adrienne said after she'd had an MRI on her knee Wednesday, she needed help getting up.
So she's saying that this happened after the MRI, and she needed help getting up. But in the article, it says, the man defied orders to stay out of the MRI room after he heard the patient screaming and got concerned. So was it after the MRI or was it during the MRI? And if it was after, why was she screaming? Why did he defy orders to go into the room?
Said she asked the technician to get her husband.
And I yelled out Keith's name. Keith, come help me up, come help me up.
She said the technician went to get her husband.
That wouldn't be screaming. And also, if you're asking the technician and the technician's saying not yet, why would your husband also defy orders to run in there?
And brought him into the room, despite the fact that...
Wait a minute.
Come help me up.
She said the technician went to get her husband and brought him into the room, despite the fact that Keith was wearing a 20-pound chain around his neck.
So, okay, again, did the technician go and get her husband to bring him into the room? Or did the technicians tell him not to and he defied the orders to stay out of the MRI room? Because this article said he suddenly entered and defied orders, whereas she is saying a technician went and got him to bring him in the room. I have a feeling that an MRI tech would not let someone wearing a massive fucking chain into an area where there are a million signs that say no metal in this area.
With a large lock that he used for weight training.
They were standing there laughing and joking before he even came to the table.
When Keith got closer to Adrian to help her up, she said the unthinkable happened.
At that instant, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI.
Adrian said...
So she's saying that she wasn't in the MRI machine. He was coming to help her up. And then he got pulled into the empty MRI machine.
She and the tech tried to pry Keith off the machine, but it was impossible.
I'm saying, could you turn up the machine, call 911, do something, turn this down?
You're in a hospital. They are 911.
Empty off.
Adrian said that this was not the first time she and Keith had been to Nassau Open MRI, and she said he'd worn the big chain here before.
It's not the first time that guy has seen that chain.
Yeah, you can wear the chain to the hospital, just not in the MRI area, man.
They had a conversation about it before. Ooh, that's a big chain.
Adrian said Keith, a hardworking man who always gave his all, suffered several heart attacks following the incident. He was 61 years old.
And I loved him so much.
Reporting.
So it's like, that's a really unfortunate thing that happened. There are conflicting stories, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. But it's sad that a man ended up losing his life due to getting pulled into the MRI machine. And it's I don't know about the truth of when she said that, like, before staff attempted to help him, they were laughing at him. If somebody gets sucked into an MRI machine, I can't imagine the tech's first reaction to be laughing at them. I'm sure it was fucking panic, actually. I'm sure they were panicked as fuck. We have a Louisiana Subway owner, Chandrakant Patel, was arrested by feds for immigration fraud after getting hundreds of Indian nationals' visas in a decade-long scheme. Patel would pay police officers $5,000 a pop to create fake reports of armed robbery in order for individuals to qualify for special U visas, reserved for victims of crime. Patel would then be reimbursed once the visas were issued.
Multiple police officials and a businessman were arrested, accused of running an immigration fraud scheme.
Investigators say that scheme led to hundreds of foreign nationals illegally getting visas. News 2's Alexis Maroney breaks down how this case is unfolding.
Investigators say they don't want the public's trust
her
to
lipstick
waver.
red as
Instead,
fuck.
they say the arrest should show their dedication to statewide transparency. Last summer, investigators started tracking what seemed like a high number of armed robberies.
I've never seen anything quite like this.
Many of the victims listed were not from Louisiana.
In fact, the armed robberies never took place, and those listed in the applications were never victims of crime.
According to arrest documents, for 10 years, false police reports were being made by this group of police officials. Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, Marshal Mike Slaney, Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon, and former Glenmora Police Chief Tebow Onicia.
99.9% of law enforcement is good. We do a great job. We go there and work every day. We get up. We do what we're supposed to do. For whatever reason, the lure of money or whatever it is that leads them to do the wrong thing, don't do it.
The fake reports were used by foreign nationals to apply for U visas, a type of visa reserved for victims of crimes. In this case, crimes that never happened.
False visas can facilitate illegal activities in the United States, including financial crime, crimes of violence, narcotics, human trafficking, etc.
The indictment says the owner of a Subway in Oakdale, Chandrakant Patel, paid the officers $5,000
Man,
for
she
each
said his name
false
perfectly.
report.
We expect law enforcement officers to protect the public and to honor their trust, not to sell that trust and the honor of their badges for personal gain.
After collecting years of evidence, investigators made 2 arrests at the Crowne Plaza Hotel while they were attending a police chief's conference.
The group is facing dozens of counts, including mail fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit visa fraud, and more charges are possible. Court dates for the individuals have not been set just yet, but I'm being told court appearances will happen in Alexandria. In the newsroom, Alexis Maroney, WBRZ News 2.
So I feel like if you are part of a visa immigration scam, kind of like this, right? Everyone who received those visas gets deported and also just cannot come back, right? You get blacklisted. You're not allowed back here, right? It's like getting kicked out of a casino. No returns. Dudes are looking at life. Louisiana likes to do consecutive sentences. Good. That's kind of fucking crazy to hear about, man. Oh, there's the guy. They do have pictures of all the officers involved. They left those out of the news story. Anyway, yet another scamming Indian, aka... Oh, okay. Every foreigner who got a U visa should be deported and barred from ever coming to America. Hey, that guy agrees with me. He looks fucking goofy. He does look kind of goofy. Immigration should be reduced by at least 90% and mass repatriation/remigration should be engaged. The ICE head says agents will arrest anyone found in the U.S. illegally, as well as crack down on employers of unauthorized workers, which is great to hear, because yes, get rid of everyone here illegally, deport them, get them the fuck out, but also you should be punishing the employers who have been using the slave labor for ages, right? The employers who have been hiring illegal migrants instead of hiring American citizens and paying them the wages they deserve. Fucking crack the fuck down on that. That's great to hear. In an exclusive interview with CBS, the head of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said his agents will arrest anyone they find in the country illegally, even if they lack a criminal record. Well, I mean, they have a criminal record by entering illegally, but nice try, journalist. While also cracking down on companies hiring unauthorized workers. Todd Lyons, the acting director of ICE, said his agency will prioritize its limited resources on arresting and deporting the worst of the worst, such as those in the U.S. unlawfully who also have serious criminal histories. But Lyons said non-criminals living in the U.S. without authorization will also be taken into custody during arrest operations. I get what he means by he's saying, like, the people who have serious criminal histories, but you are a criminal if you are in our country illegally. You are here illegally. You have broken the law. You do not deserve to be here. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200. You go home. Arguing that states and cities with sanctuary policies that limit cooperation between ICE and local law enforcement are forcing his agents to go into communities by not turning over non-citizen inmates. What's, again, frustrating for me is the fact that we would love to focus on these criminal aliens that are inside a jail facility, Lyons said during his first sit-down network interview on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan. Is that the one? Is that the I don't really care, Margaret? A local law enforcement agency, state agency, already deemed that a person a public safety threat and arrested them, and they're in detention. I'd much rather focus all of our limited resources on that to take them into custody. But we do have to go out into the community and make those arrests. And that's what you're seeing, that increase in so-called collateral arrests, Lyons added, referring to individuals who are not the original targets of operations, but are nonetheless found to be in the U.S. unlawfully. I mean, again, he says that they're in the U.S. unlawfully, but then non-criminals living in the United States. They're not non-criminals if they're in the United States unlawfully. They are a criminal. They have broken the law. If ICE encounters someone that is here in the country illegally, we will take them into custody, Lyons said. We have opened up the whole aperture. Collateral arrests by ICE were effectively banned under the Biden administration, which issued rules instructing deportation officers to largely focus on arresting serial criminal offenders, national security threats, and migrants who recently entered the U.S. illegally. That policy was reversed immediately after President Trump took office for a second time in January. As a part of Mr. Trump's promise to crack down on illegal immigration, his administration has given ICE a broad mandate, with White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller pushing the agency to conduct 3,000 daily arrests. While ICE has so far not gotten close to that number, the agency receives tens of billions of dollars in additional funds from Congress to turbocharge its deportation campaign. That'd be interesting if you could do that many in a day, but I feel like that's not possible. Lyons said it's possible to meet the administration's target of 1 million deportations in a year with the new infusion of funds. ICE has recorded nearly 150,000 deportations in Mr. Trump's first 6 months in office, according to internal government data obtained by CBS. From January 1st to June 24th, ICE deported around 70,000 people with criminal convictions, but many of the documented infractions were for immigration or traffic offenses, according to data obtained by CBS News. Well, I mean, I'm glad they're gone because they were here illegally, but immigration and traffic offenses aren't like, quote-unquote, the worst of the worst. So, I mean, the language is a little fucky-wucky. The numbers gotta go up, though. While the administration frequently highlights arrests of non-citizens convicted of serious crimes like murder and rape, ICE has also sparked backlash in communities across the country due to some of its tactics and actions, including the use of masks by agents, which Lyons said will continue due to concerns about the safety of his officers, arrests of asylum seekers attending court hearings, and raids on work sites. Good. Keep it up. ICE is always focused on the worst of the worst, Lyons said. One difference you'll see now is under this administration, we've opened up the whole aperture of the immigration portfolio. Another major policy at ICE under the second Trump administration is the lifting of a Biden-era pause on large-scale immigration raids at work sites. In recent weeks, federal immigration authorities have arrested hundreds of suspected unauthorized workers at meatpacking plant in Nebraska, a horse racetrack in Louisiana, and cannabis farms in Southern California. At the cannabis farms alone, officials took into custody more than 300 immigrants who were allegedly working in the country unlawfully, including 10 minors. Good. Good, you should be able to do workplace raids, because these people shouldn't be working in our country if they are here illegally. Amid concerns from industry leaders that Mr. Trump's crackdown was hurting their businesses, good, you should be extra punished. ICE in June ordered a halt to immigration roundups at farms, hotels, and restaurants. I don't like that. That shouldn't have happened. That pause lasted only a matter of days. Since then, the president has talked about giving farmers with workers who are not in the U.S. legally a pass, though his administration has not provided further details on what that would entail. That is not what I voted for, Mr. President. I voted for get them all the fuck out if they're here illegally. No passes, no halts on immigration roundups at farms, hotels, and restaurants. Get them out. Entirely. Stop it. Get some help. In his interview with CBS News, Lyons said ICE would continue worksite immigration enforcement, saying there's no ban on such actions. He said those operations would rely on criminal warrants against employers suspected of hiring unauthorized immigrants, which he said is not a victimless crime, noting such investigations often expose forced labor or child trafficking, and also rape. Also, lots and lots of rape, unfortunately. Not only are we focused on those individuals that are, working here illegally, we're focused on the American companies that are actually exploiting these laborers, the people that come here for a better life, Lyons said. Asked to confirm that ICE plans to hold those employing immigrants in the U.S. illegally accountable and not just arrest the workers themselves, Lyons said 100%. I wish we could know, how he plans on holding them accountable. That's what I want. How do you plan on holding them accountable? You're planning on holding accountable the employers, the companies that are hiring those who are here illegally, 100%, because that's been a concern. Lyons said, it is, I can definitely see that concern, but what I would say is that we have to hold the American businesses accountable, especially when it comes to human trafficking or child trafficking, forced labor, because those are victims, right? That's where illegal employment isn't just a victimless crime. It's a victim at the end of that being exploited. And these American companies do exploit individuals who come here illegally just to make an extra dollar, and that's not right. We have to hold these country companies accountable. That's true. That's true and real. Bounding into comics here, quote tweeted this, and that's how I found it. He said, Yamada Tarou, an anti-censorship advocate, has challenged Visa, MasterCard, and other payment processors for restricting sales of Japanese media deemed unsafe for their brand, similar to Collective Shout and Steam. Mr. Tarou won his election this weekend. And this will be obviously translated by Grok, so, grain of salt and all, but he says, I am Taro Yamada in this House of Counselors election, where I aimed for re-election. Major media outlets announced my certain victory at 8 p.m. sharp. This is all thanks to the support of everyone who cheered me on. Starting today, I will renew my determination and continue the fight. Visa told by Japan antitrust watchdog to reform credit info system. Kyoto, Japan's antitrust watchdog said Tuesday it had told Visa Worldwide to reform its business practices after concluding that the firm restricted and pressured card companies to use its credit information system. It marks the first administrative action taken by the Japan Fair Trade Commission against a credit card company. The commission said global credit card brand Visa Inc.'s Singaporean unit, which manages the Asia-Pacific region, including Japan, had charged higher fees to other credit card firms that did not use its network to credit check information. The commission said the Visa unit has submitted plans to improve its practices, adding that it has accepted the plans. The company was exempted from facing fines or other punitive measures under the anti-monopoly law. According to the Japan Consumer Credit Association, as of 2020, the Visa credit card brand accounted for about half of the market share in Japan. The total amount of credit card transactions in the country in 2024 stood at 116 trillion yen, which translates to $785 billion. And credit card processors like Visa, Amex, MasterCard, etc., they all charge a processing fee per transaction to companies that allow card purchases. And companies aren't supposed to pass this cost on to the customer, but a lot of companies do it anyways. There are a lot of transaction fees that pop up, especially when you pay for things like on government websites. Like when I go to renew like car registration or whatever, there's always a transaction processing fee if I choose to pay online instead of through check or cash. And I, for one, am really, really sick of seeing transaction fees, because sometimes they get incredibly fucking crazy. A $100K fine for something that profited $100 million is not a fine, it's just a tax. Yeah, pretty much. Credit card transactions involve issuing a company and management company, which both utilize a trusted reference system when a transaction is made, according to the watchdog. Interchange fees, typically set by global brands, are paid by the management company to the issuing company during a transaction, while the issuing company pays a service charge to a different company, in this case, Visa Worldwide, providing the reference system. While Visa Worldwide had applied preferential rates under certain requirements, it altered the conditions from no later than November 2021 to necessitate the use of its network, leading some companies to switch to the system under Visa despite it costing more than others. Visa's practice is believed to have been aimed at increasing revenue by excluding competitors from the market. Japanese authorities had been investigating allegations the practice violated anti-monopoly law, which prohibits companies in a dominant position from imposing unfair trading terms on firms with weaker standing. Tuesday's administrative action against Visa Worldwide does not mean that the practice violated the law. Under the plan submitted to the Commission, the Visa unit will restore conditions for preferential rates to previous iterations. A third-party entity approved by the watchdog will also check for improvements and report to the Commission over the next 5 years. But fucking time government applies antitrust pressure, and I think while Japan is doing this, that makes it even more important for us to pressure our politicians to do it at the same exact time. Because, like, if Japan is mounting an offensive against Visa, it's not time to sit back and watch what happens. It's time to put Visa in the fucking vice grip. You know? It's time to make them have to fight a war on multiple fronts. Paranormal investigator Dan Rivera dies suddenly on Annabelle Haunted Doll Tour. Wow. A paranormal investigator died suddenly Sunday night while touring with the infamous and supposedly haunted Annabelle doll, his tour organizers have announced. Dan Rivera, a U.S. Army veteran, was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania on his sold-out Devils on the Run tour when firefighters and medics rushed to his hotel. CPR was performed, but Rivera, 54, died according to the New England Society for Psychic Research, where he was the lead investigator. That's a very creepy doll. It was creepier in the movie, because in the Annabelle movie it was portrayed as a porcelain doll with a fucked up face and not a Raggedy Ann doll. His exact cause of death remains unclear. Rivera was featured as a paranormal investigator on the Travel Channel's Most Haunted Places and served as a producer for a number of other shows, including Netflix's 28 Days Haunted. As part of his tour, Rivera was traveling around the U.S. with other members of the Nesper to show off Annabelle, the creepy and allegedly demonic doll. His death came after he finished a 3-day sold-out stop in Gettysburg from Friday through Sunday, haunted by ghostly images of Gettysburg tours at the Soldiers National Orphanage, the Nesper said Monday. They already wrote the script for the next Annabelle slop based on this, you bet. I heard that there were, like, I haven't looked into it, right? Because I'm not a paranormal investigator. But apparently, like, the people who had the Annabelle doll originally were, like, super fucking liars or some shit. Like, they like, were scamming people. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'd have to, like, actually look it up. Annabelle took his soul. He was doing lots of coke. Now, honey, remember what we discussed? Do not do lines of cocaine off of demonic artifact. Rivera, who was survived by his wife Sarah and 4 children, used social media, including viral TikToks, to bring international attention to the tour. Fellow paranormal investigator Ryan Buell paid tribute to Rivera. I have so many amazing memories with this guy just as recently as 2 months ago. We traveled around the country and introduced a whole new generation to Ed and Lorraine Warren's legacy. I don't like how there's this one in a box and then there's a box next to it that has a doll that looks very similar to it. Does it like swap to other dolls? Because like there's another doll here, but this doesn't look the same as the Annabelle doll. Annabelle, a Raggedy Ann doll, was tied to a series of supposed hauntings in 1970 after being given to a Connecticut nursing student named Donna. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators, claimed the doll physically lifted its own arms, followed people around the apartment, and would display other frightening and malicious behavior. The couple also claimed Annabelle had stabbed a police officer and caused a car crash involving a priest. A psychic medium claimed the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a dead 6-year-old girl called Annabelle, and the Warrens said it was demonically possessed and moved the doll to their museum in Connecticut. The Warrens, who founded the Nesper in 1952, god damn they're old, investigated a number of mysterious cases, including the Amityville Horror House on Long Island and the Annabelle doll. Is this the Great Wolf Lodge, like the one in Virginia? Dude, the Great Wolf Lodge is wonderful. I went there when I was a teenager on a school trip. They have a giant indoor water park. It's so cool. Their stories inspired The Conjuring, the highest-grossing horror movie series worldwide. And after Ed's death in 2006, followed by that of Lorraine in 2019, the Warrens Occult Museum and the Nesper have been maintained by in Connecticut, by their daughter Judy and son-in-law Tony Spera. In 2019, the museum closed to the public over zoning issues, and in recent years, they've toured around the U.S. instead. Back in mid-May, conspiracy theorists tried to link Annabelle to a prison breakout and devastating fire in Louisiana, pointing to the timing of the doll's tour stop in New Orleans. But Spera stamped out the speculation, telling the Post that Annabelle was never out of our control during the pit stop in the Big Easy. But how can you know that you have it under control? You know? You know? One does not simply control the doll. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you believe it's a demonic entity, how the fuck could you also believe that you have any sort of control over it? That don't make no goddamn sense.